Greetings, fellow scribes! Welcome back to the archive. This week, I continue my series on the Archons and Death Angels of Kult, Divinity Lost with Geburah, the Archon of Law, and Golab, the Death Angel of Torment. Like all Archon Death Angel pairs, these are mirror images of each other, the dark reflections of the other. Unlike the other Archon Death Angel pairs, though, in many ways, without these two, many of the others discussed so far would not have the power that they have. Because ultimately, for the Archons, law was what drove most of their power. And for the Death Angels so far, torment is what drives people into their thrall. So sit back, relax, and enjoy as I talk about Geburah and Golab. Geburah is the Archon of Law, and he is seen as the enforcer of laws and social norms. And in a way, he is the foundation upon which all the other Archons are built. Without laws, there's nothing for a hierarchy to have power. Without these social norms forcing people to be guilted into obeying it, there's no need for the submission to religious authorities. Without laws and the legal framework around it, there's no community, etc., etc. And when you stop and really look at what many of the Death Angels are doing, where their areas focus on, they focus a lot on undermining and twisting the social norms and working around the laws, seeking, maybe intentionally, maybe unintentionally, to weaken Geburah's footing. Because Geburah's very existence, his attitude, his importance, props up all the other Archons. And in fact, the lie is supported by these laws because you have to obey the laws, else you get punished. And the laws are able to keep one from looking into those areas that might let one see through the lie. Geburah was considered the weakest of the Archons up until the 19th century. And this is because, communities acted on their own. The nobles could change the laws as they saw fit. The religious orders acted outside of the normal rule of law. But the late 17th, early 19th centuries, late 18th and early 19th centuries are when we started seeing the rise of the nation state. In fact, one of the principal concepts for the United States when it was being founded and the Constitution was being created was that it was to be a nation of laws, not of men. And this principle carried on, and this attitude spreading across the world strengthened Geburah, such that now Geburah is a Archon with his power on the rise. And Geburah believes he can become the next demiurge, because he believes that his organizational strengths, he's the only one who can effectively guide the construction and reinforcement of our prison. But he is a harsh Archon. Torture, harassment, verbal browbeating, humiliation. These were his tools for keeping people in line, keeping people obeying the laws. And from these come where his dark reflection, Golab, gains power. For these are the beginning of torment. Where does torment start? It starts with the guard who makes the prisoner lick his boots. It starts with the boys pushing the nerd off the bus, making him fall and skin his knee. And then it builds. It builds till eventually the prisoner catches the guard somewhere and slowly breaks the guard's fingers, then his hands, then his arms, slowly torturing the guard as the guard begs for death. It ends with the boy that was pushed. It ends with him being drugged by these other boys behind the school and tortured. And everywhere in between, you have the touch of Golab. Golab is close to those who are self-injurious, because on one hand, they're inflicting pain on themselves. On the other hand, there's the psychological torment that has driven them to that point. Golab is also behind the films on the internet that show someone being tortured, murdered. He's behind snuff porn, and he's behind the worst degrees of sadomasochism. The stuff where it's being done just to inflict pain. And the worst part is that many of those who truly give in to Golab find an almost sexual pleasure in the torment they inflict on others. In fact, it can be said that this is their sole pleasure in life. And even worse is, even the thought, if strong enough, of inflicting harm on another can draw Golab's servants to one. And then they start teaching. They start nudging until that person feels more comfortable with little bits of infliction of pain. Greater degrees. Ridiculously vicious amounts of pain. Golab's followers can torture someone horrendously and keep them alive. They can inflict horrible injuries without leaving a bruise. And this keeps people in the lie, partially by just keeping them locked in a state of flight. Locked where, when you're in pain, all you want to do is get away from that pain. So, it keeps them from looking at the world and looking for the cracks in the lie that way. But even if they do stumble into a crack in the lie, the pain, the torture that is so right there for them, that's going to channel them to Inferno. More, that's going to channel them to close to Golab's fortress. It's going to guide them into fueling and strengthening Golab. And that is the darkest part here. And it all starts with someone enforcing Geburah's laws, Geburah's social norms, before it turns slowly to the deviance and torture that fuels Golab. Next week, I'm going to talk about Togarini, the Death Angel of Compulsion, and Tifereth, the Archon of Allure. Until then, I'd like you all to remember to have fun and keep gaming.